Well, hello everybody. Good evening. Welcome to the show, on a Mexican crossing lines on KPPP LP 88.1 FM radio in Fargo, Moorhead. Gonna have a great show tonight. We encourage you to invite your friends. Bring everybody. We're gonna do another deep dive for the poocast, American Psyop.
The poocast, because it's full of poo-poo and caca. But we are going to fix that. I am going to correct the record. I am going to show you the lies, the BS, the slander, the copyright infringement.
That's right.
All of the things that Midas Touch and this American Psyop by the Bunker Crew. It's going to leave a stain, Duke. This work, I'm using air quotes because I don't know how you can qualify putting a microphone in front of a person like Wes Clark Jr., who proclaims himself to be insane over and over again, and just let him slander people, lie, make things up, when he and his daddy, General Wes Clark, are linked to so many of the perpetrators of bad things. How is it possible that the people at Midas Touch and the Bunker Crew let it slip through their little minds that this was a psyop in itself, that they were being psyoped, or that they were complicit in putting out BS information? I don't know what possessed them to do it, but I'm here to correct the record today on a Mexican Crossing Lines.
That's right. And if you want to get a hold of us, you can get a hold of Cindy at KPPP LP 88.1 or Duke at, let me do that again. Cindy at kpppfm.com or me, Duke, at kpppfm.com. You can call and leave a message on our message line at 701-566-0917. And you can find us on Twitter at media_PPP, on Facebook at 88.1 Fargo Moorhead, and on YouTube, Duke 1517. And here we go, ready for a show.
Okay, folks. I started off on the last show talking to you about American Psyop, a podcast series that was put out by journalist Emily Bix, edited and directed by Jack Bryan, produced by Stacy Scher, Jack Bryan, and Marley Clements, executive produced by Grant DeSimone and Brent Mysalis of the Midas Touch. So I've kind of told you a little bit about this crew of people. Each and every time, I'm going to give you another piece of the puzzle so that you can put it together on your own.
That's right.
The reason I find myself going through and correcting the record for these lazy people is because they did not do that job themselves. None of them apparently bothered to verify anything, reach out to any of the people that Wes was slandering and saying, making up these stories about. And they went ahead and put out this information, I guess.
Yeah, like a over 9 hour podcast. If you want to take 9 hours of your life to listen to it, then you'll know what we're talking about.
It's very convoluted and difficult to follow. But apparently, there was a lot of people that listened to it. And I'm here to share with you some of the information that everybody missed, including the people that produced this. So let's start today. I showed you a little bit about the background of the Mysalis brothers, but now let's go to that Bunker Crew. Miss Bix. Miss Bix is the person that did the interviews. This is her Instagram page, I think.
I think so.
And she says she's a sports fanatic and a writer. And then I wanted to show you here the image from her Instagram of what looks like a happy couple. And it says that this is the absolute best birthday present forever, is just perfect. Thank you for making me the happiest girl in the world, at Jack Bryan. So they're in a relationship.
Ah.
Jack Bryan, he's not just the producer of this show, he's Emily Bix's partner.
Wow.
Okay? Now, they didn't necessarily need to disclose that. We do a show together and we're married.
That's right. Exactly.
But people know that. People know that, right? Me and you.
That's right.
We don't always agree, even though we're married.
Mm-hmm.
But these people definitely did not disclose that they're in a relationship. So maybe Miss Journalist Emily Bix was not as thorough in her investigative or interviewing skills as she would have normally been, having worked with Wesley Clark in the past and now doing another project with him, as they say in the podcast series itself. Now, here is Jack Bryan's, the link that you saw there to his Instagram, and it is private Instagram, so we can't look at any of it, but it does say there he is the director of active measures and that he is a guy in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And if you go to that link, you will find that he has produced a movie called Active Measures. And this is what the cover of that movie looks like. It's basically Red Square, if I'm not...
Yeah, it looks like that to me. Yeah.
It's Moscow. And that's like the cover photo for Active Measures. So this movie is about primarily the suggestion by Jack Bryan that Vladimir Putin is behind a 30-year history of covert political warfare to disrupt and ultimately controlled world events.
I see.
And this movie it was released in theaters and on streaming on the same day, August 31st, 2018. And it just so happens to have been produced by Jack Bryan and Marley Clemens. Marley Clemens has also helped produce this podcast, American Psyop.
Oh, okay. It's all in the family.
Now, I want you to go back to that image because typically movies today are released both streaming and in theaters at the same time because people don't, ever since the pandemic, people don't go to theaters as much.
Yeah.
But also, there's a lot of movies that get released directly just to streaming right away. Usually smaller movies. So this is definitely one of those because, as you can see, it says there that the total box office gross in the USA was 19.9K.
Okay.
So that I don't know how much it cost to produce Active Measures, but I'm going to take a wild guess and assume that it took more than $20,000
Yeah,
to make.
you would think so.
But did not return more than $20,000. And even if you just watch the trailer of this movie, which I'm not going to play for you.
Yeah.
But if you were to watch the trailer and see the list of people that are interviewed in the movie, the different locations this person would have had to travel would have eaten up the budget of what the movie made back. Apparently was not very successful. And if I looked, because I did, at Jack Bryan's resume, and neither Jack Bryan nor Emily Bix are very old. I know I have shoes older than both of these people.
I have shirts
in this
older
house.
than them, probably.
You do.
Yep.
I guarantee you do, okay? They don't have a lot of experience either.
Okay.
Jack has... He started a production company to make films, which this Active Measures movie was made under that production company's brand. I think it's called Shooting, like a gun.
Okay, all right.
And it's called Shooting Films. When I saw that on his resume, I was like instead of putting the name of the company, you just put down what you do. Like currently, from like 2011 to now, you're shooting films, and
That's
I'm
right.
like, oh, that's the name of the production company.
That's right. Okay.
I figured that out when I saw the credits on the Active Measures movie.
Mm-hmm.
But this is Miss Bix, another one of pictures of Miss Bix Instagram, and for those of us that are not watching this, could you describe the size and the opulence of the place that she's in? It looks pretty fancy.
It looks like it has a really tall ceiling, unless she's 2 inches tall.
Yeah.
And it's got huge windows and drapes and a fireplace and
Huge
beautiful marble floors and very swanky. It looks like a museum room to me.
It does. It's right. And that somebody in the comments there says, I'm coming over. That place looks huge. Yeah. And she is there on morning day 1 and 2. Like the difference between, it looks like they just moved in. Yeah. And she says new home hashtag. So this is their new place. And Jack is also on the thing. So they moved into the new place together. And if you go to the next one, this is the comments on the same post. If you go scroll down and someone says, Rich.
Yeah.
And she responds, half the price of our last spot. So she was in a place that was even nicer. And then someone else says, damn, Gina.
Yeah.
And someone else says, that looks a little bigger than the apartment you had in Hollywood. Can you imagine the size of the apartment that this woman can afford in Hollywood? Yeah. That Brian and her can afford? What does this tell you? They are rich.
Yep.
Right? These people are used to living in gated communities and rubbing elbows with the creme de la creme, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though they're very young. So these are not your regular young folks out there making documentary films.
Right. Not your normal 19,000 gross documentary
The
people.
kind of access these folks have to people like Hillary Clinton and other folks, which they interviewed for this Active Measure films. So it's not that Emily Bix and Jack Bryan and the people that worked on this podcast do not have access to question, interview, pay for, or talk to the people that could have vetted or cleared up a lot of the information they received. They could. They have a lot of access, a lot of money. They just chose not to.
Mm-hmm.
Here's Emily Bix with Shaquille O'Neal.
Oh, wow.
Just so you can see, when I talk about the people have access to celebrities and figure and money and power, they do. That's Emily with the Shaq.
Wow.
So now let me return you to the last show that I did.
Oh, yeah.
Where did I end it? I ended it with Wesley Clark being at the camp, traveling back in time to 2016, when the camps had the blizzard and when Wes was hanging out with a bunch of people connected to movies and films and media. He was hanging out with Jordan Sheridan of TYT. He was hanging out with documentary filmmaker Josh Fox. He was hanging out with movie star and SAG-AFTRA member Frances Fisher.
Oh, that's right.
And he was hanging out with this lady, Samira Khan. I showed you a picture of Miss World, Miss New Jersey, and according to the screen capture here from the Russian television network, the top Russian journalist, Samira Khan. She is a reporter and was a reporter for Samira Khan, or for Russia television news.
That's right.
Which, as people here in the United States know, is part of Russia's propaganda machine. And I ended the show showing you that Wes and her and Josh and Frances Fisher were all hanging out together on more than one occasion, driving around together, eating dinner together, all of it. Which includes Samira Khan, and, interviewing people like Kingpin, Christina Hollenbeck.
That's right.
Christina Hollenbeck, who, by the way, Remy Frendenberg, who you will hear Wes tell me should have been one of the people that was left in charge of the camp. Somebody like him. Not L'Oreal Blackshaw. Not Bill Running Fisher. Not Chase Iron Eyes. Not the people that took over. Not the people that he left in power at the camp when he left. When he jumped out of there and flew out on a private plane. He was hanging out with Samira Khan at the hotel. This is what he was doing. Here's a picture of him with Samira Khan at the hotel to refresh your memory. What day does it say that this occurred? He's with Wes Clark, No Dapple, and Samira Khan.
December, was it 25th? 2000.
No, that can't be December 25th. Maybe it was posted on December 5th, 25th.
Okay.
But he was there when the blizzard hit. And apparently so was Samira Khan, as you can see.
Oh, that's right.
The person next to him has a U.S. Navy jacket on. So presumably they're all with the vets for Standing Rock. And in addition to that, what is Samira Khan doing now? Well, here's her Twitter. And it says that she's an anti-woke journalist. Still to this very day, this is her new Twitter, or this is her Twitter profile today.
Oh, yeah.
She's a femininity defender, though not a feminist, but a femininity defender. And she's talking about mimetic warfare strategist.
Huh.
Huh.
I don't know what that is.
Mimetic warfare strategist? Well, that mimetic has to do with Arabic countries.
I see.
People that follow Islam or Muhammad. That's where it comes from.
Okay.
And so, because presumably she comes from an Arabic background or Muslim background, so she is a beauty pageant queen and a strategist in mimetic warfare? I don't know. Anyway, let's take a look at what is she working on now. Here's one of her. This actually isn't from now. This is a confirmation of what she was doing before as a pageant queen.
I see.
And in this tweet, where they put her profile up so you can see one of her posts, she is doing a throwback to a Miss World pageant, and you see 4 pictures of her and a bunch of other women with sashes on the stage, and she says it feels like ages ago that she was in a Miss World pageant. And the person that retweeted this tweet calls her Miss World Thing and says that she has Trim Draper and Steve Bannon's Bitcoin compadre as an advisor.
Wow.
Steve Bannon's Bitcoin guy?
Wow.
Who would that be? Well, Steve Bannon's Bitcoin guy is a guy that has done pageants with Samira Khan, who I'm going to tell you more about in a moment, because he was very involved with Standing Rock and Wes Clark. And it's somebody that Wes Clark failed to tell you about. Okay? But what is Samira Khan doing today? Well, this is a recent tweet that she put out saying that she was hosting a Twitter space with the Afghan Taliban, with the Taliban,
Wow.
to discuss the detainment of accused and alleged sex trafficker Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate, the one that just got into a fight with Greta Thunberg on Twitter, and then they found where he was in Romania and arrested him on sex trafficking charges. Yeah. And she says that the Taliban is worried about Andrew Tate and are asking if he is free yet.
Huh.
Because the Taliban cares about a sex trafficker. And they said Westerners need an Andrew Tate because we are oppressed by feminists. She is defending the Taliban.
Wow.
That is who Wes has got his arm wrapped around in
That picture at Standing Rock, yes.
Yeah. And here's the kicker, folks. In this American Psyop BS series, toward the end, when he's talking about me, when he's slandering yours truly and my husband and our show, and the witnesses in this case, he says to me, he says in the Psyop show that he stopped talking to me.
Yep.
And I looked up that interview today. The time after he, the time he spoke to me after I did the show, exposing that he and his daddy, General Wes Clark, had a secret meeting with Sadef Buyakataman and her father, Kaya Alep Buyakataman, the executive director and communications manager of the Turkish Forum, a propaganda publication that is very pro-Putin, pro-Russia, anti-indigenous, racist propaganda for dictator Erdogan.
Erdogan, yes.
In Turkey. And he was like, I didn't know anything about that. I didn't know anything about this. And you are making insinuations. I'm going to keep making insinuations because how did you not know that Samira Khan was a memetic strategist? How did you not know that Samira Khan was the person that interviewed Christina Hollenbeck when you were hanging out with her? How did you not know that she was a Russian television news anchor when you were having dinner with her and Francis Fisher?
Exactly.
How did you miss that all? I don't think you did. I'm going to go right ahead and say, I don't think you're that stupid. Pero navegas con bandera de pendejo. Meaning, you like to pretend you're stupid when it's convenient.
Exactly.
And he's like, Cindy, I don't know. I thought for a while it was Tiger Swan. And then I thought it was Eric Prince. And then I thought it was the Russians. But now I don't know what to think because I think I'm crazy. And I told him, I think you want people to think you're crazy.
Yeah.
But you seem lucid and you can remember things. It's very convenient. Also, he tells me once again, and I'm going to play this whole interview one of these days. I'm just going to put it on and let you hear the crazy things that he said to me when he claims he stopped talking to me. Because in that call, he starts off hot and heavy, angry at me because of the information I have just produced and the insinuations that I have made therein. But I talked him down and I said, I'm just presenting facts and information I believe the public has a right to know. And if you didn't do anything wrong, then these insinuations shouldn't hurt you in any way. You can prove that you weren't doing anything wrong, right? You have a way of doing. I was at my dad's house and I was getting contrast pumped into me so that they could check my brain. And they determined I had CTE. Once again, let me share with you that pendejo has to tell on himself and assured everyone, just as he assured me years ago when he was speaking to me, that he was diagnosed with CTE. That disease that people get from playing football where they get concussed so badly that it ends up killing them?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And not only does he say he had CTE, and I'm like, what is that? Because I've never heard of it. Because you know why? Even though I was a paralegal that worked within the medical field and medical malpractice and Social Security disability for the majority of my career, I had never heard of that because you don't file for disability when you get CTE. The only way that you can diagnose CTE is through an autopsy of the brain.
Okay.
He did not research the disease that he decided to give himself an out to tell people that he is cuckoo in the brain.
Wow.
So I will be playing that for you later. I'm going to save it for you. But first, I'm going to tell you about what Samira Khan has been up to, what she's doing. So I showed you that Samira Khan posted this picture of her and said, feels like ages ago, throwback, Miss World. Because she was in Miss World pageants.
I see.
And do you know who is involved in throwing the Miss World pageant?
Mm-mm.
You know, I showed you on the first show that there was a guy named Andy Kawaja that Wesley Clark brought up.
That's right.
That started a reality TV series with models to see who was the best model, to see who was going to be the next famous model, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I showed you that TMZ kind of made fun of the whole thing. It was like, what would you do if you were a billionaire and you wanted to surround yourself with a bunch of pretty girls? This is what you would do. And I think Brock Pierce is very similar to that. He is one of the people that hosted and represented the Miss World stage, the Miss World pageant. Here he is posting pictures from Miss World. And he says it was a great honor to take the Miss World stage, not only representing our Integro family, foundation, I can't read, but also to help shine a light on beauty with a purpose. Doesn't that sound similar to Andy Kawaja?
Yeah,
Beauty
exactly.
with a purpose.
Yeah.
And the great work that these extraordinary women are doing out in the world. Miss World 2021, Puerto Rico Integro Foundation. Give back. Give back. I got some weird symbol there in the background. I don't know what the hell that is.
Yeah.
Anyway, let me share with you that Wes Clark Jr. was also connected to this Brock. In fact, here you will see there is a post of Sedef and Brock. And
let me get the right one. Sorry about that.
This is we got a lot of stuff going on the screen here, but this is a post by Trek Thunder Kelly, posted on June 16. And that is after Standing Rock is already going, and he posts and he tags other people, but the person that he is posting this with is Sedef Buyaktaman, the person that Wesley Clark hosted a dinner at his house with her daddy. And if you can see that, it says, guys, there needs to be an organized, inclusive, constructive, publicity-focused movement. Publicity, PR, publicity-focused movement on site near these immigrant children, like Standing Rock. Because, of course, as you know, all of these people that were involved at Standing Rock, I later found going into Mexico.
That's right.
And getting themselves involved in the caravans and in the asylum-seeking story. And there you see Wesley Clark is tagged amongst a group of other people. Send me any information you have on any of these other people, especially if they are shady, as I'm going to show you that many of them are. You have Jerry Brunskill, Aaron Mishler. Mishler. That name sounds so familiar. Mishler. Aaron Mishler. Well, put a pin in that one.
Yeah.
Yoong Kim. Yoong Kim. Who is that? Who's the next one, Stu?
It's Sadaf M. Buyakataman.
Yaktaman.
Yaktaman. Wendy
Okay.
Smith. Colin
Yeah.
Hornet. Greg Puller. And Brock Pierce.
And Brock Pierce is also tagged there.
Yep. And also people started replying to it in order.
Uh-huh.
Jerry Brunskill says, was talking with Shannon about this. And Aaron
Mishler.
says, I'm in. And Wes Clark says, thinking about it. Trek Thunder
Responds.
responds,
Let's talk.
let's talk.
So he is involved. He's
Yep.
like, okay, I'm thinking about it. Let's do it. Let's work on it. Who else is in this list? Let's go down further
Yep.
on this post. Tell me if you see anyone else
Wendy
recognizable.
Smith says, I think the worst offenses are happening in Texas.
What else does it say?
Whoop, I'm on the wrong one. Sorry about that.
All right.
Jumping around.
Why don't you catch up?
Catching up.
Okay.
Wendy Smith says, I think the worst offenses are happening in Texas. So that's a place to start. But I'm sure Arizona is seeing its share. Have you heard of any efforts starting yet? I can get research. If you haven't. And then it goes on to, Sadef says, it would depend on who's involved. And then,
Oh, so Sadef is also chiming in.
yeah, they're chiming. All the people tagged jumped right on. Like they're just waiting and jumped right onto the post. And then Raina Lavoie says, I'm in. Keep me posted, please. And
She's
then
in.
Joelle Perry, wish I could pack up and be with those kiddos.
Oh, they all want to just flock down to the border
Yeah.
and help everyone.
And Maggie Shelton says, yes. And Peta Dingle Wall, as a mother, I can't even imagine whose little ones alone.
Those
Those little ones alone.
As a mother,
That's right.
I can't even imagine those little ones alone. I want to bring them all to my home and hug and love them. I want to help.
Yeah. And Trek Thunder Kelly says, there's actually a march to Tonio that Beto is leader happy right now in Texas. That's what it
Okay.
says.
So he's talking about Tornillo, Texas, where
Okay.
a bunch of the people from Standing Rock went to protest
Oh,
after.
I remember
we
that.
covered all of that. We covered all of it. So this is what they were into. And Brock Pierce, the Miss World pageant dude, is linked on there. But that wasn't the only time after the Standing Rock era that Wes Clark and Steph Yaktaman and all these people were working together and tagged together. Here's another place where I found Brock Pierce tagged in my reporting.
Mm-hmm.
This one is a post from Allison Monaghan McGuire, and she is with Nomiki Konst and Steve Goot. Now, Steve Goot interviewed me at the Standing Rock encampment and was part of a production company doing documentary films, just like Jack Bryan,
Okay.
called Common Dreams,
Oh,
or
I remember
Common
that.
Ground,
I
or
remember
Common
that,
something.
yeah.
And he was connected to a lot of the people that were working in Mexico on the caravans. But this is before that. After Standing Rock, a bunch of these folks went around doing disaster relief. We covered them going down to Houston and then Florida and then to Puerto Rico.
Oh, yeah.
And you see, there they are. And Nomiki Konst is saying, I went to Puerto Rico. Or actually, Allison is saying she went to Puerto Rico. Coincidentally, her best friend, Nomiki Konst, was there covering the blockchain conferences and doing a documentary on Puerto Rico. What a coinkydink.
Mm-hmm.
Her favorite moment of the trip happened during the last night that they were in town. She watched with great pride as Nomiki, interviewed blockchain leader Brock Pierce on how multimillionaires and billionaires like him can move from playing the game of compounding interest to playing the game of compounding impact.
Huh.
Oh, and if you're not familiar with blockchain, just Google John Oliver's clip on cryptocurrencies.
That's right.
It's an easy one to watch, and it gives a nice primer on how blockchain and cryptocurrency work. And Brock is in it also. Well, if I recall correctly, it wasn't very flattering clip from John Oliver.
No.
He said blockchain is kind of not real.
That's right.
And as we all know right now, cryptocurrencies have crashed. It turns out it was all a big Ponzi scheme. A lot of people got ripped off. Millions of dollars disappeared. But there's something else that's kind of troubling about Brock Pierce.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out Brock is connected to Jeffrey Epstein. Yes, that's correct.
What?
Jeffrey Epstein. You know, the one that is married or was a partner to Ghislaine Maxwell. Isn't that how Wes pronounced
exactly.
it when he went to visit her? Oh, Wesley Clark in his trailer for this American Psyop show tells us he went and had a meeting with convicted sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell.
That's
Just
right.
so happens another guy he was working with at Standing Rock stuff was a cryptocurrency Ponzi schemer that's connected to Jeffrey Epstein. Take a look at this headline from September of 2019. It says the strange saga of Jeffrey Epstein's link to a child star turned cryptocurrency mogul. Boy, this Brock Pierce just keeps on giving us new insight on his personality. He's not just a Miss World pageant.
Nope.
He's not just a millionaire, billionaire, cryptocurrency dude that was working out at Standing Rock, was connected to the Standing Rock people at Puerto Rico, and not just connected to tagged with Wes on working on the caravan stuff. It turns out he was in The Mighty Ducks, the Walt Disney movie, The Mighty Ducks. Yeah, he was the star from the Mighty Ducks. And he is also running for president, or he was in 2020.
Wow.
What? He was running for president in 2020?
Wow.
And he regrets his ties to Jeffrey Epstein? Yeah, I'm sure that would probably put a little bit of a damper on your presidential campaign if you're connected to a sex trafficker.
Yep.
An international sex trafficker. But there it is. But that's not all. Because when I was looking up Brock Pierce and his background as an actor and a cryptocurrency billionaire, I also found this, which happened to him when he was out in Puerto Rico. It turns out that Brock Pierce, the Mighty Ducks cryptocurrency child star billionaire who pioneered the mass move of cryptocurrency czars to Puerto Rico, when he relocated there in 2017, because he relocated to live there.
Okay.
Turns out he knew Mushegian. Mushegian is a person that he knew that died.
Yeah.
And he says in this, he knew Mushegian, and he believes that Mushegian's death was simply a tragedy that may never be solved. It will always remain a mystery. Now, do you want to know more about the story of the guy, Mushegian, who died in Puerto Rico, that will forever be shrouded in mystery, according to the Mighty Ducks child star and cryptocurrency billionaire, Brock Pierce? Well, here's a New York Post story. It gives you more detail about what happened to Mushegian. His full name is Nikolai Mushegian, and he purchased a home in Florida that is not pictured there. In 2017 for $500,000. So Meshegian is also pretty rich.
Wow.
And guess what? He's a cryptocurrency developer. That's how he knew Brock Pierce. Nikolai Meshegian had been splitting his time between Florida and his new home, Puerto Rico, before his ultimately and suspicious death on October 28. In 2017, at age 24, he purchased a modest 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom home in Fort Lauderdale. Oh, just a modest $415,000. Records show. And he was raised in Kansas by Russian immigrant parents.
Okay.
There's some more Russians for you.
Yep.
Meshegian moved to Florida in 2017 to focus on the cryptocurrency scene. Okay, so right after Standing Rock, a bunch of these crypto dudes got together and did their crypto thing. And Brock Pierce was very much a part of that. And then there's this death that happened of one of the crypto people. And he was like,
oh, we'll never know.
Whoopsie daisy!
Yep.
We will never know. But it looks like there's a lot of things about Brock Pierce that are shrouded in secrecy. Oh, look, here's a tweet about him meeting with Merrick Garland, the AG.
Wow.
And it says, oh, hey, what's this? Crypto shilling alleged pedophile Brock Pierce, who was accused in a lawsuit of raping and drugging a teenage boy, just chilling at the White House with AG Merrick Garland. What?
Wow.
Well, if you look at that document cloud, it actually takes you to the lawsuit that is listed there. You can look at it for yourself. And this was filed in Encino, California. It was filed in Los Angeles Superior Court in what year, honey? July 20, 2008, 9?
Yeah, it's hard to read that.
It's very hard to read. You probably have to make it bigger for you to be able to tell for sure. But in that time, the people that were the plaintiffs in this case are Mark Collins Rector, Chad Shackley, and Brock Pierce.
Okay.
Digital Entertainment Network, Inc. Okay? So this is the Brock Pierce that we are talking about. And if you go to the next slide, I'm going to show you some detail from this lawsuit. It says that the victim was engaged in homosexual acts with Colin Shackley and Pierce, or otherwise debilitate or incapacitate the victim so as to allow Collins, Broccoli, and Pierce to engage in homosexual acts with the victim, Michael. And the victim, it says, those homosexual acts included physical manipulation of the victim's genitals, physical manipulation by Michael, the victim, of the genitals of Collins, Shackley, and Pierce, oral copulation by the victim of Collins, Shackley, and Pierce, and anal intercourse performed on Michael, on the victim, by the defendants, Collins, Shackley, and Pierce. Michael E., the victim, was subjected to each of these homosexual acts on multiple occasions from June 98 through approximately March of 2000, both with Michael E. and both the victim, both while Michael E., the victim, was under age 16, under the age of consent, under age, a child. The homosexual acts, as herein above alleged, were performed without the consent of the victim and through defendants, and each of them using force or threat of the use of force, as well as causing the victim to ingest alcohol, marijuana, prescription drugs, and controlled substances.
Wow.
Them are the allegations
Jeez.
in the lawsuit. Huh.
Shocking.
And there you have him tagged. And they're like, oh, we need to help the immigrant children. Let's take a alleged pedophile
Yes.
and tag him. We need to involve that guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Now-
no kidding.
Now let's take a look at what else Brock Pierce is into. Here we see a post by the Sparrow Project. And it says, watch this space as Tulsi Gabbard continues to coordinate with Brock Pierce.
Wow.
Tulsi Gabbard is working with Brock Pierce and Accelerate, which is an opaque election PR firm. It's a
Okay.
consultancy
Ah.
that's shepherded by Trent Poole and Brittany Kaiser. And yes, it is the same Brittany Kaiser from Cambridge Analytica
Okay.
in 2016. The company that was spying on us,
Mm-hmm.
that was used to shake up the elections. And you can see there's something there, a speaking thing that was put on by this Accelerate thing, which Brock Pierce is a part of. And in the next slide, you can see Tulsi's picture and Dennis Kucinich and Brock Pierce, all of them speaking at this event.
Wow.
And in the next slide, I will show you a picture, a Twitter that shows a reply to Tulsi Gabbard. And it says, hey, Tulsi, isn't this you with John McAfee's presidential running mate, Judd Weiss, who you hosted a fundraiser for in L.A., in Los Angeles, where Wes is from?
Wow.
Brock Pierce's friend? John McAfee? Of the McAfee safety virus things?
Yep.
Yeah. The one that was on the run from
The
the law for money laundering and
Exactly.
trafficking and a whole bunch of other stuff. Yeah.
That
He's
one.
Brock Pierce's buddy.
Wow.
McAfee's cryptocurrency. Oh, he has a cryptocurrency!
It's a common thread.
Oh, Brock Pierce and his dead Russian friend had a cryptocurrency, and so does his felon friend McAfee. He has Skycoin, which was exposed. Skycoin was exposed, incidentally,
That's right.
as a Russian-Israeli mafia money funnel. Russian-Israeli mafia money funnel, by the way. Okay. Remind me again
Good luck.
what Tulsi Gabbard was doing, because I want you to see in this next one that Tulsi was at Standing Rock with Wes Clark.
That's right.
Don't you forget.
Mm-hmm.
Tulsi Gabbard, who is now hosting Carlson's show on Fox News,
Yep.
who was correctly called a Russian asset by Hillary Rodham Clinton and the Vice President Kamala Harris, was at Standing Rock. Okay? And here she is with all of the usual suspects. Veteran stand at Standing Rock, North Dakota, December 5th. And you see Evan Duke from Occupy Wall Street, Matt Crane, Mark Sanderson, Redbeard, the Redbeard guy,
Oh, yeah.
Joe George, Brandy Paisano, Jesse Ilnicki down in the front. Jesse Ilnicki is insane in the membrane. That
Yeah,
guy.
that's right. Yeah.
Of course, you have Representative Tulsi Gabbard from Hawaii and Ed Higgins,
Oh, yeah.
Bernie Sanders campaign staff. He is the Bernie Sanders campaign person, okay, in this picture. And as we know, Wes was also there. So this is a picture of Wes with Tulsi Gabbard, and there's Phyllis Young right in front of Tulsi.
Wow.
Phyllis Young is the person he claims he was asked to talk to by James Martinez, who he was communicating. And Wes and Tulsi are working together to give a message, a speech out at Standing Rock.
Wow.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, interestingly, all of these people that were Bernie Bros,
Yeah.
that were working with Wes and Winnie Wong and Seven McDonald and Desiree Kane, and the people that I showed you were all in the crew that were working on PR and sending out press releases about Standing Rock and bringing supplies to Standing Rock. Seven McDonald, who was working for Wes as a publicist, as well as Maggie Day and all those folks. I showed you they were working together with Bernie Sanders' campaign manager, Winnie Wong.
Mm-hmm.
And I also showed you that same Winnie Wong was working with another Bernie delegate, Cassandra Fairbanks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I also told you in the past that they were all working together for Trump later. All of these Bernie bro people became Trump supporters.
Mm-hmm.
And I said that for me shows that they were never, they're showing their true colors. Tulsi was never a Democrat. She was always, her and her daddy too, were always LGBTQ hating people.
That's right.
Transgender hating people.
Mm-hmm.
Religious zealots. They were always who they are now. And apparently sellouts to Russian influence.
Yep.
In the next thread, you're going to see a Twitter thread by Forgiato Below. Now, if you don't know who Forgiato Below is, he was recently featured in a documentary about Trump with Roger Stone and a whole bunch of the Trump assets because he was hired as a rapper. He wrote a rap song about Matt Gaetz.
Oh, okay.
And
yeah.
he wrote raps with Roger Stone about Trump. So for Forgiato Below recently, who calls himself Trump's nephew, by the way.
Okay.
He blew up in right-wing circles because he started doing rap music for the right.
That's right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he did a Twitter thread about Tulsi Gabbard asking whether or not she should be the next vice presidential pick for Trump.
Oh, really?
And this is how that conversation went on Twitter. Tulsi for Trump's next VP, yes or no? That's who she really is.
Yeah.
She's a Trump girl, Russian asset connected Trump girl. And someone replies to Forgiato Blow, the picture I just showed you of Tulsi Gabbard out at Standing Rock with Jesse L. Nickey and Ed Higgins and Evan Duke. And they titled it Antifa Leader. Oh, you scrolled down, so I can't read it. Antifa Leader Evan Duke with Tulsi Gabbard. Because he is an Antifa leader and self-described, by the way. But they all got together at Standing Rock. And someone else responds to this tweet and says that picture was taken many years ago at Standing Rock. Basically, they called the vets together that were in the immediate area for a picture. They just got a bunch of people to get over here, take a picture.
And watch your shows.
That guy in the picture was not Antifa at the time. Well, they're wrong. He was Antifa at the time, and those were not people that were just gathered together. And you know who clarifies that point?
Oh, Desiree Kane.
Mr. Social, Desiree Kane, working with PR at Standing Rock, who said she was doing PR at Standing Rock and security and press and more. And in her response to this Forgiato Blow, because I guess she follows Forgiato Blow, Trump's rap guy. But she engages in threads with right-wing people because I guess it's important for her to, bring that algorithm up. And she says, no, these men were the ones that handled her security, press, and more. This isn't a photo of random bets from the area. I was there.
I was there.
And she was.
Yeah.
She definitely was
Telling
there.
the truth on that one.
And someone responds, I can assure you that none of these guys were officially handling any of those things.
Really?
The person being highlighted who started heading up Antifa was not Antifa at the time, nor does Tulsi have a connection with him. They were odd. They were at an event at the same time, and that is all.
It's circumstantial. They were just there in the same
And
picture.
Desiree responds, truth matters. And sorry, but you cannot tell me you know better than something I was there for. By this time, he was already Antifa.
Yeah.
And they respond back. Yes, the truth matters, and no matter what kind of weird spin you want to put on it, Tulsi has no ties to David Duke or Antifa. That's the truth.
It's not David Duke. It's Evan Duke.
Evan Duke, pendejo. And she says, okay, the cognitive dissonance you must experience must be profound. I won't fault you for it. I was confused, too.
That's right. She's in a cult.
And that's right. She's in a cult. And then Don responds, you are confused for sure if you think Tulsi has any ties to Antifa.
Really?
I have no interest in hearing more of your misdirected mental speculations.
Zero.
And Snide responds to all of them, so bye. What else we got?
See ya. I wouldn't want to be ya. That's it.
See ya. Well, let me clear some things up. I interviewed Joy George, whatever the fuck his name was. Excuse me. That guy. I interviewed him, and I asked him, what were you guys doing with Tulsi Gabbard? Ed Higgins is claiming that you guys were the security for Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah.
You were providing a security detail. Like, what did you do for the security? Did you, like, vet the people she was talking to, make sure that she was protected from interviews or certain people? And they're like, no, we didn't actually have any training or do anything that was security detail related. We didn't do anything like that. It was just like what we wanted to call ourselves.
Yeah.
We wanted to call ourselves the
fanboys.
security detail,
Yeah.
but we were actually nothing more than fanboys.
Mm-hmm.
But that does not change the fact that Evan Duke was indeed Antifa at the time.
Yeah. Exactly.
That he was Antifa then and there and later, and that he was representing himself as Antifa. Is he really Antifa? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But he was working with Tulsi Gabbard and Wes Clark, and they were all working together with Desiree Kane, the people that are in the American Psyop podcast.
Mm-hmm.
That none of these people bothered to check into or look into and check and make sure we're not dangerous liars, felons, pedophiles, what have you. They didn't vet anything or do anything to check to make sure that the people they were working with were genuine and good and safe.
Mm-hmm.
They took these people to an encampment with elderly people, with children, with indigenous people, with some of the most vulnerable people, because if you don't know, indigenous women are kidnapped, disappeared, and murdered more so than any other group in this country.
Mm-hmm.
And black women and black trans women. And these people hate trans people, hate LGBTQ people, and they do not share a respect or a love for indigenous resources, people, history. They are appropriators. They are people like Desiree Kane who takes the identity and supplants indigenous voices with her own. Who else, before I leave today's show, okay? Who else was hanging out with Wes? Because apparently Wes Wes has no responsibility, no accountability for who he was promoting and elevating at Standing Rock or thereafter, or who he worked with, or who he got psyoped by. Because I think now in this American Psyop series, he wants you to believe that somehow he was hanging out with the worst of the worst of the worst people that are convicted felons and rapists and pedophiles and sex traffickers. But he didn't know. He no responsibility for taking and elevating those people, putting his arm around those people, elevating their names, and giving them credibility in vulnerable populations. He doesn't carry any responsibility for that. Right? He's a victim too. In fact, he's a victim of me and you, Duke.
I guess.
We were the ones that drove him to do all this nonsense. I was probably out at Standing Rock directing him to go and hang out with people that are associated with cryptocurrency or pedophilia. That's how he ended up taking this picture with John Bolenbaugh, I'm sure. It was all me. That's what this man would have you believe. He is a man that is older than I am, okay? And I am not a spring chicken, but this is a grown-ass man. His daddy was a general in the military. He was in the military too, but he would have you believe he doesn't have the mental capacity to wipe his own ass. Here he is hanging out with water protector John Bolenbaugh, and they're all holding up a fist.
Oh, yeah.
They're all holding up that resistance fist, so you know that they're in the resistance together. Just so happens that John Bolenbaugh is a pedophile.
Yeah.
He was a convicted pedophile. Yes, he's a convicted pedophile. Interestingly, on the website that some of the people in his family posted to attempt to exonerate him, they say that it was a really, really long time ago.
That's right.
He hasn't been arrested for doing anything like that since, even though he's married to someone way, way younger than him, who he obviously was dating when she was... It's just gross, guys.
Yeah.
But also, the other excuse listed is there's a lot of states where marrying kids under the age of 16 is totally legal. And he listed them. And also, there's a lot of people that have kissed or dated or had sexual relationships with underage girls in the past who are, you know, Roman Polanski and a lot of celebrities out there that did it, and nobody said anything was wrong with them. In fact, there's a Native American leader, a Native American shaman who ended up getting married to a 15-year-old girl, and he traveled around.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody said anything to him about his marriage to a child. So I guess that makes it okay that John Bolenbaugh was a pedophile? I don't know. That's what they would like to have you think.
Yep.
But that's what they do when you hire PR people, like the PR people that defended Julian Assange and Jordan Sheridan and Ann Zalakowski, Vox Veritas, Trevor Fitzgibbons, right? Julian Assange, right? Winnie Wong, working with Ann Zalakowski and Desiree Kane, and that whole media apparatus with Seven McDonald.
Yep.
All of the public relations that they did for Standing Rock and beyond. Well, let's show you a picture of Winnie Wong, who was with Cassandra Fairbanks and Desiree Kane and Tulsi Gabbard.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because they're all working with the same PR people. There's Winnie Wong in New York on April of 2016. And she's with Tulsi Gabbard. She says, I wouldn't mess with us. Would you?
With Tulsi Gabbard.
Don't mess with Tulsi Gabbard because you're going to get the horns of Winnie Wong. Folks, I remind you, go back to my previous show where I demonstrate the connections between Wesley Clark and Desiree Kane and Winnie Wong and Seven McDonald, all working on public relations at Standing Rock and beyond. And I'm going to bring you a lot of shocking information in my next show about more of the celebrities connected to Wes and Samir Khan and the people at Standing Rock and what those people have been doing since Standing Rock.
Wow.
More crimes coming, folks. Don't be surprised. But please share this show, and please join us next time on A Mexican Crossing Lines with your host, Cindy Gomez-Schempp.
And Duke Gomez-Schempp.
You're listening to 88.1 FM, KPPP, LP, Fargo-Moorhead, where we are adding local color to your airwaves. Good evening and good night.